Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you have not like and subscribe the channel, please like and subscribe the channel. In this video I am going to share you something important. What is the important? Intune is actually moving support to Android 10 and later for user base management. And why this is Microsoft Intune is making, because uh, Google will, we are expecting the next Android version 15. Android 15 will be released in October 2024 this year. So looking at that, right, so currently Microsoft Intune is supporting Android 8 and later, right? Android 8 and later and Android Enterprise. Okay, Android Enterprise. So you see here, but now Microsoft is planning to drop the below Android 10. Okay, it will only support if your devices are running Android 10 and above. And when this will be released, this will be implemented on October, because we are expecting that Google will release Android 15 on in October 2024. So that's why Intune will also revise the operating system support statement to move the supporting only Android 10 and later. Okay, and those will be user based management, like if you are using Android Enterprise personally with work profile, right? or or if you are using fully dedicated mode, there are 5-6 method, right? So any of these method you can, it will only support after October 2024 Android 10 above. So what will not be impacted? So the impact is only these four method. What will not be impacted? The impact will not happen for these two. If you are using this Android Enterprise, dedicated devices will continue to support Android 8 and later. And if you are using this corporate on, will continue userless, this one corporate on userless devices. So if you are using of these, any of these two, there will be no impact on this, sense they will continue to be supported on Android 8 and later. Okay, uh, so if you are using any of these Android, the personally on devices with work profile, or corporate on dedicated devices, or corporate on fully managed users devices, or any of these four under the enrollment profile, then you have to inform your users, make a compliance policy. You can filter the report from your Microsoft Intune and notify those users and replace those devices if it's not upgradable to Android 15, because it's just a because it's just a actually every year Google has released new operating system for Android. So Microsoft is also dropping support for Android 10 and Android 9 and below, right? So what will be the impact though for the user based management method, right? Android devices running Android 9 or earlier will no longer be supported, right? So make sure if your any of these devices are running Android 9 and below, will no longer be supported except these two AOSP profile using method, right? For devices are unsupported Android OS versions, what you can do, I mean, Intune technical support will no longer be provided. So if your devices after October 2024, if your still devices are using or having enroll into Microsoft Intune, then Intune technical support will no longer be provided. Intune will no longer be making change to address bug or issues for Android devices, Android 9 and earlier, and new or existing features are not guaranteed to work, right? So because they have dropped. So you see here how you can prepare this. So you can use the Microsoft Intune reporting to identify which devices or which users might be infected. So you can go to the devices here, and if you filter by Android, if you have Android devices, you can you will see all these method. These AOSP will not be supported. They can still continue it, and device administrator is already deprecated. So if any of these devices fall under fully managed dedicated COPE and BYD personally on work profile, so you can click on and export the reports, right, and filter by your below unsupported Android versions below 9 and Android 9 and earlier, and then notify those users. You can also do go to the apps and click on monitors. If you are using and are using app protection policies, you can also export the report and filter by the platform versions. If you are using app configurations profile, you can always go to the apps monitors and app configuration status. You have the policy created for Android, the app configuration for Android. You can export it and filter by your platform versions, right? This can So by using this reporting, you can identify how many the Android versions are running below Android 9 and earlier, so that you can inform those users and request them to upgrade and be ready for Android 15 this year, October. So you can also notify those users through the compliance policy. So as I've already made video, so many video. You can go, you can create a compliance policy by operating system. Like you see here, Android Enterprise. You can select this fully managed and corporate, right, or any suppose personally owned work profile, and you can notify it. I'm just putting, and you can see here device health, right, system security, device properties. You can see the minimum OS version. You can identify 10, like this one, maximum OS version. So this is currently is 14, so you can 14. So minimum it has to be 10. If it's not 10, then it will take a, you can notify, mark as a device is compliant. You can send email to users, you can send a push notifications, you can remotely lock, or you can retire the devices. So there are multiple options you can select and notify those. Okay, this is actually very great tool, and if you are using the app protection policies, you can always configure the conditional launch, right, and then with the minimum OS version, so that it will warm the users automatically. Okay, if you have not watched how you can configure the app protection policy and how you can use the compliance policy, to just search on my channel, you will get everything. If you want to block the devices from accessing the corporate resources until they update their Android versions, you can always go to the enrollment restrictions, right? I'll say here enrollment restrictions. Let me go here, go to the Android, okay, Android enrollment, and you can see device platform restrictions. So you want to go to the Android restrictions, click on here, create Android restrictions, or you can give name. You can see the Android enterprise work profile, minimum version you can 10, right, and you can allow or block based on the devices. So if devices are running on 9, it will warn the users and it will block the enrollment as well. So they have to upgrade to either 10, and then they can only enroll their devices. So you can always use the compliance policy to make the devices non-compliant if they are running on the older versions. If you are using the app protection policies, like you can create a app protection policy and configure conditional launch with the minimum OS that blocked users from the app access. So how you can create the app protection policy? You have to go to the app protection apps, and you can create an app protection policy for Android, and here I will show you the conditional launch. So you can select all apps or whatever if you have there. I will show you just quickly, where you can set the minimum OS, right? Let's go to a here access requirement. Okay, the access requirement, go to next conditional launch, right? So here you can see the minimum OS versions. What you want to do, you want to block access or just warm. So you can put the value minimum OS version should be 10. If it's now at 10, it will warm, or you can block or wipe data. So I would prefer to warm. So this will also warm the users to upgrade the devices to the latest version. So use this policy, any of these conditional access policy, abstraction policy, or compliance policy, or restrictions policy. You can use all three to protect your environment and be ready for Android 15. Till then, thank you. Have a good day.